Welcome back. It's another episode of Global Card Collectors, and I'm back with my good friend Keiran. Keiran, welcome back,
Yeah,
mate.
good,
How you doing?
thanks. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. It was my last day at work today, so I am beginning summer. And in fact, tomorrow morning I am getting on a plane at 9 o'clock in the morning, which means I have to wake up before 5 in the morning because I've got to head out to the airport. I'm off to
Oh,
Germany,
Germany.
and I'm
Woohoo.
going. Yeah, I'm going to a card show there.
Awesome.
It's the biggest card show in Europe, so it's even bigger than the
Oh,
London
wow.
card show. It's in Dusseldorf. It's in Dusseldorf. It's not this weekend coming, but it's the weekend after. So I'm heading out to Berlin first to go hang out with my buddy there. I'm going to try and check out a few card stores there, and obviously meet up with friends and enjoy Berlin because Berlin's amazing. And then next weekend, I'm taking the train from Berlin to Dusseldorf to the card show. So it's going to be
Wow,
fun.
that sounds way more exciting than what I'll be doing.
Well, what's the weather like back home, mate? Because I got a notification from the New Zealand Herald that the area where my mum lives, the top of the South Island, is just getting slammed by a huge storm, and there's flooding and all sorts. Anything around
Yeah,
your
so
way?
I live in Wellington, and we're not known for the best weather in the country. It's
No.
cold and it's been really, really rainy. I'm really surprised at how much it's rained recently. I think in the last sort of month, I think we've had more rain than I can remember in the last sort of like 8 months. So yeah, it has been
Wow.
rough. There's been a lot of flooding, and yeah, it's just been, dare I say, miserable. But I guess it's just one of those things, right? At the start of winter, you sort of just hunker down and ride it out. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some more sunshine, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's funny because you're doing the complete opposite of me. I'm getting ready to go out and
Yeah,
enjoy the good weather and the long daylight hours, and you're hunkering down at 5 at night when the sun goes down. It's like, oh, and
yeah.
Wellington is rough, but Wellington is home to one of the I'd say one of the two biggest card shows in the country. So the New Zealand Card Collectors Show and the Auckland Card Show are easily the two largest card
Mm,
shows in the country. The Auckland Card Show, I think, is on
mhm.
in August, but the New Zealand Card Collectors Show was
Yeah,
in April. Is that right? It was in
Anzac weekend. Yeah.
Anzac weekend, basically. And you went to that show, and what was it like,
Oh,
mate?
it was awesome. Obviously, we were a vendor there, but also as like a collector, it was just so much fun. Just meeting lots of people. I mean, I met you at the New Zealand Card Collector Show the year before, and
That's right.
yeah, it was great. From a vendor's standpoint, we sold everything. Everything went, like we started off
Wow.
with a lot of stock because before the last sort of 12 months, the Pokemon um, market had sort of, it had been kind of trickling along. It hadn't exactly been like stellar. So we were actually sitting on quite a lot of stock, and so we were looking forward to the show. And I tell you what, yeah, within the first couple of hours, just everything just sold. And yeah, we had a really, really good day.
Wow.
Not only that, obviously, we I went around and had a look at everything that was available, and there was a lot of stuff, a lot of really high end stuff. You know, like stuff that's $500 plus. Um, and not really a lot of stuff that was in sort of the $50 to $100 mark, which kind of put off a lot of people, I think. Or obviously maybe that stuff sold really fast, but from what I could see, there was a lot of $1,000 plus slabs, and they just sat there all day and
Wow.
bought them because obviously um, just people don't have $1,000 plus to spend on a card. I mean, there are people, don't get me wrong, and there were people dropping some money, but yeah, I think there was one thing that I noticed was that there was a lot of like pricey stuff. There was a whole table full of Evolving Skies booster boxes, and those are like what are they, $3,000 a piece just for one box. Um, and it's like, who's gonna buy that? I mean, you will get people that will come in and have a look, right? It's like I had $1,000 box on our table, which was Japanese Evolving Skies, which is called Eevee Heroes. I just bought a box along. I was like, you know
Okay.
what? It'd be nice to have a high end item on our table, and like the number of people that asked about it, but as soon as I told them the price, they were just like, "Whoa, no way," sort of thing. Um, but
Yeah.
the right person, if they had have come along and been like, "Holy crap, that's Eevee Heroes," you very rarely see Eevee Heroes being sold now. But that person just didn't come to our table, or at least didn't wasn't entertaining having it. So anyway, it was a great show. Obviously, there's a video on my channel that did really well. I was really surprised at how many views it got.
I saw that.
Um,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah. Did
yeah,
very well.
and I had a lot of fun. Met a lot of people, vendors and collectors alike. Yeah, and just had an absolute ball.
That's cool, man. And you are involved in the 2026 show,
Yeah,
right?
so I obviously met Stephen Summers, the main guy who organises the New Zealand Card Show, who unfortunately has actually stepped down from his position because he's moved away from New Zealand. But I met him and the New Zealand Card Collectors crew, and they asked me if I would be willing to join the committee and for organising the 2026 edition, and yeah, I'm really keen. And they sort of said they need someone with a bit more of a TCG brain to bring that in because they're more sports card guys. So yeah, I was really happy to join and to see what I can do in terms of making 2026 even better. There's definitely some things I know that the card show can do better in terms of that. Um, yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my teeth into that. In fact, later on today, I'm actually going with Dan, who's the new head of the show, to go and have a look at venue here.
Perfect. Is it going to be the same one or a
New
new
one.
one?
We're actually because
Wow.
year on year it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We we keep looking at bigger and bigger spaces. And obviously
Wow.
the latest one, which was the Wellington Indian Association, it was a big hall, and its proximity to the airport was obviously a very important factor. But there's just no way I think that we're going to be able to fit the number of people that we are going to have this next year in that space. So we're actually looking at something
That's
even bigger.
amazing.
Um, so yeah, I guess I
That's
can't really say
crazy.
where it is at the moment because we're
Sure.
looking at multiple venues, but it's definitely somewhere that's going to be bigger for sure. Yeah.
Wow. But that feels like that's the case with all of these card shows at the moment. So, for instance, the Auckland Card Show, they had it at a school gym in Kohimarama last year. Now they're moving to the Auckland
Yeah,
Showgrounds, and that place is huge. It's like,
absolutely. I
whoa.
mean,
So
yeah.
you're going to a massive venue like that. So it just shows how massive cards are in New Zealand. And I think both shows working in two different cities, it's like, a rising
Oh,
tide just lifts all boats. So,
absolutely. And
you know, all of the growth from either city, it's just going to be great for card collecting in the
yeah,
country.
and I mean, people from the New Zealand Car Collector Show talked to Steve about his show, and they're very much as like
Mhm.
a collaborative arrangement there. I mean, we are, I guess you could say, it's like competing shows, but not really because we're in different places and B, we're at different times, and I think there definitely is a case of like we'll work together in order to grow the community. And
Yeah, and you think about even the big dogs, like in America, you have Fanatics Fest, and then you have the National, and then you're having all of these other card shows like the Dallas Card Show, or there are some big ones in Florida these days, but they're all making sure that they coordinate together because they understand if this
mm,
show does well, then it's very likely that our show can do well too. And I think that that's the case with the two big shows in New Zealand. And it means that all of these other smaller shows can get off the ground
yeah,
too. Like there's a whole bunch in
yeah,
Auckland and I
Yeah,
already
yeah,
missed
yeah.
those.
And there is a new one coming up called HobbyCon, which is organized
That's
by
right.
Andrew Lee. And
That's right.
he he's looking to sort of make it in multiple places in New Zealand. So, like, I think there's one in Tauranga, and there's going to be another one in Christchurch. Be interesting to see
Very
how those
good.
go, because yeah, obviously trying to organize multiple shows in different places. I mean, that's going to be a real challenge, especially you know, looking at what actually goes into organizing a show. It's a lot of work, and you got to have your ducks in a row. And
Yeah.
so to take on an Auckland show, a Tauranga show, and a Christchurch show, that's crazy. But there's also a really cool one in Taupo, which is my hometown. I wish I had more. I wish I had more
Okay.
time to travel and to go look at these shows because yeah, there's a really cool venue in Taupo called the Great Lakes Centre, and I can only imagine, there's a lot of people in the Central North Island that would be looking to go to that show as well. So, yeah, it's a great time to be a collector. I tell you, there's a lot going on, and these card shows are just growing bigger
Very
and bigger.
true. Yeah. There was just an announcement. I think it was last week that the Istanbul Card Show is scheduled for mid-September, and their venue again, like a lot of these card shows, was their first venue was a good size. This new venue that they've just announced where they're going to be is
Yeah.
huge. It's called the Istanbul Convention Center, so you can imagine
Oh
how
yeah.
big that is, and how big that is for Turkish card collecting. So we're really excited. My buddies and I from the Card Clan have already booked, or at least have sent our message of intent to the guy who's running the show, and we're hoping to book a couple of tables there and be vendors there and just kind of interact with the community again because it's been fun. We had a trade day a couple of weekends ago and it went really well. There were a whole bunch of different collectors coming in and a few familiar faces. So it's good to see that we're building
That's
community
awesome,
here.
man. Yeah, and that's what it's about. It's about building that
Mm-hmm.
community and just
100%. Yeah.
introducing people and getting people excited about cards and building their collections and yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And I can tell from where I am, like coming into the card collecting community here, there's going to have to be a lot of
Oh, yeah,
education of the collectors because they really don't know
especially around
much.
fake cards.
So you don't want to rip
Yeah,
them off.
yeah,
Yeah.
because
Oh
they're
yeah.
everywhere. And I mean, I saw
Yeah. Actually, the Pokemon.
sorry, I saw one of your recent videos where you encountered fake cards, and that they're trying to
Oh
sell them
yeah.
for like the same price
Crazy.
as regular cards, and that's dirty. And they know that they're selling fake cards. The good thing about here in New Zealand is the fake
Yeah.
cards. They sell them at like the $1 and $2 shop stores, and they're cheap. They're cheap, cheap, cheap. And
Hmm.
that's why the kids end up with them is because you know mum and dad look at $8 a pack, or actually no, it's like $10 a pack versus like $3 a pack for fake cards. Of course, they're going to go for the $3 pack.
Hmm. And the thing is over here, as I kind of showed on that video, is that they're the same price, or sometimes even more expensive than real ones. And you're like, what are you up to? So I had all of these students of mine. They're like, oh, you're the Pokemon teacher. Look at my cards. I'm like, how do I tell this kid that these cards are
Yeah.
fake? And he's so
Oh.
excited. And it's like, oh, I've got this really special card. I'm like, oh, dude, oh, mate. And
Mm,
it's just there needs to be some education there, and I think there's this one guy in Turkey. His name is Pokey Zed, and he is trying to kind of get the message out there. But I think the more people who say it, the better. And it'll take a little bit of time, but that's what I'm planning on doing is making a few videos in Turkish, like shorts, like a minute long, just educating them on the basics of card collecting from, things like grading companies to, spotting a
mm,
fake card or things like that. I think are important for people to understand how
yeah.
collecting works because they really, all they said to us at the sports card thing was, oh, is it an autograph card? Is it a numbered card? Or is it what was the other one? Is it a patch card? Those are the only three kinds of cards that they were looking for, but they didn't understand the value of parallels, or even if it was a really high numbered card, like in sports cards, like they have so many different parallels that even if you have a card out of, let's say, 199, you have to understand that there's also a card out of 150, 99,
Mm.
50, 25, 10, 5, and 1. So it's not really that rare because there are so many different color parallels of that card that you're like, well, you shouldn't be paying top dollar for this. So they just need to be educated on it. That's
I
all.
would be lost with sports cards, especially like the serialization and the parallels, like you said. Um, I'd end up overspending for some things just because I don't understand it. And
Yeah.
yeah, with the fake Pokemon cards, I think it's a really cool idea is to do some like shorts about spotting fakes or fake packs. I mean, there's some real obvious things on the packs and the cards that it's like, yes, this is fake. And same
Yeah.
thing as you. I have friends that have got kids, and when they found out I'm the Pokemon guy, they showed me their cards, and obviously I they're so excited about it that I couldn't tell them. I told their parents, I was like, I don't want to be that guy, but a lot of the cards they've got are fake, and they're like, oh, how can you tell? And I said, oh, I can tell, but in the end, I kind of take the stance that if it doesn't matter to the kid that they're real and they're excited, they're like, I really love this card, even if it's fake. I'm like, that's fine, no problem. But as long as the parents understand that, hey, you know, if your kid starts getting interested in the value of their cards, because that happens, at school now, the school kids start talking about value. I said, you got to have that hard conversation to say, hey, look, these cards are fake, or, if and I say to them, if you do want real cards, I can help you find sources or whatnot, if they're interested in that.
Mhm.
But if they're happy with their fake cards and they really love them, then that's no problem.
It's a really good approach, man. It's a really good approach. Hey, moving on to the Pokemon theme of our conversation, I guess. And we talked. I want to say it must have been about 6 or 7 months ago now. Our last Pokemon conversation. Can you just? I mean, that's a big question, and I have smaller questions afterwards. But do you want to just give me a little background on what the market is kind of like right now? Because six
Mm,
months ago, it was just before this. It was you had said it's about to get. It's already crazy. It's about to get crazier, and it did.
yeah.
But I don't want to play spoilers. So just if you can just tell us what's been happening over the past 6 months in the Pokemon card world. It's a
Yeah.
big question, but
Yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
a crack.
It is a broad question, but there is a very kind of broad answer to it. Is exactly what you said. We predicted that there would be a surge, and there was for sure. From the start of this year, prices have just gone absolutely mad. Um, I would have said from about November, December last year through till about March, April, the price of things just skyrocketed. There's a lot of reasons for that. The main reason, obviously, is the increased demand for cards and for products, um, which perfect storm coincided with a lack of supply of cards as well. So supply and demand says that the price goes up, um, but also you find that there's just so many more people that want to collect, and I think a real catalyst for that was Pokemon Pocket, which is the
Big
card
time.
game that you have on the phone now. It can't be understated how much of an effect that has had on real like new collectors coming into the space. Um, but generally, I think that there was just a real surge in demand from regular collectors as well because of lack of supply. Um, and the Pokemon Company has addressed this issue, and they've said that they're going to be printing a lot more. Generally, when they send out those sorts of messages, it sort of takes around about 6 months for it to really hit, and so we're sort of hitting that spot. We will be hitting that spot soon. So what you'll see is like a real increase in supply. Um, and with that, just in the last couple of months, we've seen some price correction. It's not necessarily linked
Hmm.
to supply, but I think that there are also new collectors coming in. Um, I mean, you'll know this just as much as anybody. New collector coming in spends a whole lot of money up front and then gets burnt out. And I think that at the moment, the
Yeah.
slight price correction is there's kind of like a timeline on new collectors where um, sort of a high percentage of new collectors will only be in the space for 6 to 9 months, and then they'll
Yeah.
exit. So I think we're starting to get there, and what you're seeing is a little bit of a softening in demand, and so the prices are starting to come down a bit. So, but that being said, you know, the massive increase from November to March, you know, prices are still really high. I mean, you know that more than anybody. I mean, I've seen some of your videos about you know, finding Pokemon cards in Istanbul and the prices there. Yeah.
Ridiculous, mate. They're crazy. And that's the thing, like with markets like this, and people see that from here, they're like, well, I want a piece
Mm,
of this as well. And so I've been checking out. There's even a brand new card store that probably that maybe not, it isn't brand new, but they've started advertising, and I get their ads, of course, because I'm a Pokemon collector
mm,
in Istanbul. So I started looking at their prices, and it's literally double what you
yeah.
would pay in New Zealand. And I'm looking at them, just going, "How are you even able to sell anything?" So I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy how much that is, how much that I guess that the market has overinflated card prices. Do you think that I guess that base price that you'd pay for an English Pokemon card, an English Pokemon pack, an English Pokemon booster box, is that leading collectors to look at other alternatives of Pokemon cards? Like, is there more collectors going after maybe Japanese or Chinese Pokemon cards
Yeah.
these days?
Yeah, so that I think is happening at the moment. There's definitely, I mean, for the last 6 months, people have been looking at Japanese cards, and Japanese cards have ended up with a real shortage. Um, yeah,
Wow.
because you know, like you said, English Pokemon cards are too expensive. People go to Japanese, and that's happened with every boom in the Pokemon TCG space. There's always been a boom in English and then a boom in Japanese. And as a Japanese collector, sorry, like if you were in Japan as a Japanese collector, you just must hate it because all of a sudden, all the products that you could usually get on the shelf are being funneled, you know, overseas. And I remember, you know, it wasn't that long ago when, and I think it still is the case that Japanese Pokemon boxes, it actually says on the box, I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong on this, but it says only to be sold in Japan. Yeah, like
Wow,
they were
really?
quite
Wow.
protective of their market for a long, long time. And back in the day, it was literally they wanted to say, hey, Japanese Pokemon boxes and cards can only be sold in Japan, which of course I mean, it's never going to be able to be controlled. And what we've found is,
Hmm.
you know, there's a lot of resellers of Japanese Pokemon cards, and they're making huge profits because you know if you get a Japanese Pokemon box, like a booster box in Japan, for retail, it's like $50, right? But you try and buy a box here in New Zealand, it's like $200. You know, they're marking it up
Yeah,
crazy,
wow.
and you know, there's a lot of middlemening going on there, and everyone's making a cut. And I think they were trying to
Hmm.
avoid that. But um, long story short is that people definitely go and look for alternative products if English isn't available. The Japanese market is hot at the moment. Uh, I mean, you look at the Team Rocket set, right? Um,
Yeah.
like you couldn't find Team Rocket in Japan after release day. I had a friend that was actually in Japan on release day, and I asked him, I said, mate, please, like, can you go and try and get me some packs or get me a box or whatever? And I sort of gave him like my like what do you call it, price limit sort of thing, and he said I can't find anything. He ended up getting a couple of loose packs at like a 7-Eleven. But what you find now is that a lot of foreigners, they won't sell the boxes to foreigners because they don't want them to have it. And
There's also that.
sorry, you go.
There's also that. There's also that I've seen on videos that when they do sell boxes to people now, they're getting
Mm.
box cutters and they're taking off. They're cutting the seal. So it's like, well, it's going to be really hard for you to
Oh, for sure.
resell because there's no
Yeah,
seal on
yeah.
it
And I
now.
said to my friend, I said,
And that's a lot
yeah,
with
I
the
said to my
Japanese.
friend,
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm going to open the packs. Like, if you can get me a box that has been opened, I don't mind. Um, and yeah, that is a really good option. But the problem with that, and it doesn't solve the problem. The problem is that at the distributor level, they're funneling all of these boxes overseas. You know, they're kind of like
Hmm.
backdoor deals to resellers, basically. That's where the problem lies.
Sure.
I don't think selling boxes over the counter unsealed would actually make a difference in the big scheme of things. I mean, it probably makes them feel a bit better about not selling to resellers for sure. Like I get that, and it
Hmm.
stops resellers from going into their stores. Um, but yeah, the problem is the distributors are selling to other people. But yeah, it's it's sort of one of those things that once the English market cools down, the Japanese market will cool down as well. It's very much related. And you mentioned Chinese cards. Now,
Hmm.
Chinese Pokemon cards are brand new, basically. They're now printing in China, and there's been a few sets that have come out, and there's actually like quite good demand for them. I've bought some boxes. Especially there's a recent one called Gem Pack 2, which has some in fact, Gem Pack 1 and Gem Pack 2 have exclusive arts that won't be
That's right.
printed in either Japanese or English. And Gem Pack 2 happens to be an evolution set, so I'm real speculative on that. I think that that has like quite good potential in terms of an investment. I mean, China is a huge market. I mean, 1.4 billion people, right? Um, what you'll find is that at the moment it's a bit of kind of like a sleeper. People don't realize the potential of Chinese cards, and I think it has like huge potential.
Wow.
Um,
Of
yeah,
course it
but
does.
that being said, like I said, um, English, as soon as English cools off, Japanese and Chinese will follow suit. In fact, Chinese will probably be the first one to go. There's also Korean Pokemon cards.
Hmm.
They'll drop off first, Chinese, Japanese, and then English. Yeah.
It's good to understand the trends though, because obviously you've seen this all happen in the market beforehand. But I think you're right on the Chinese front because if you look at the sports card market, the biggest market by far in the world for sports cards is
Mm,
the States. But in second place, a clear second place, is the Chinese
wow.
card market. They have people who have deep, deep pockets, and the card collections that
Mm,
they have, it's some of them are just like, wow, how do you have those cards? Like they're the
yeah.
impossible cards to get. And they go crazy over them. I was talking to a guy who lives in China. He's a Kiwi guy actually, and I met him at the Auckland Card Show, and he was saying to me that what they do in China, this is how crazy their collectors are, and we're talking about serial
Mm,
numbered cards. They'll go crazy and go, I love the number 28. So every single serial numbered cards they want to collect is the number 28. That's how specific their
wow.
card collecting is. And they're dropping big dollars too, man. So I think the Chinese card market is it's definitely going to be a sleeping giant for Pokemon cards. It just depends on whether or not a percentage of their population will be into
Yeah.
Pokemon cards, but I can't
Nah,
see
I
why
mean,
not. The only thing would be like, oh, it's the Japanese thing, we don't like it, but that's probably
even if it's
it.
10%, it's 140 million people. I mean,
That's
if you
right.
put it
That's
into
right.
that kind of context, it's like, well, of course it's going to happen. Um, and the best thing about those Chinese boxes right now is they're cheap. I mean,
Hmm.
Gem Pack 1, you can get a box for $60, like 60 New Zealand dollars.
Wow.
The bigger
Wow.
boxes, because Gem Pack 1 and 2 are kind of like specialty sets, but like the main sets, the
Hmm.
boxes aren't as cheap. But still, mate, I tell you, I think, yeah, it's like a sleeping giant. I think you'll find that, and the people who can actually foresee the growth in Chinese Pokemon cards are buying up boxes now. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Let's go on to I guess we can move on to the idea of sets as well because it feels like a good time to move there. So there have been quite a lot of sets that have been released since our last conversation. I want to say that we're around the time of maybe Surging Sparks were just about
Yeah.
to be released. I
Yeah.
think
I think it
maybe we
was
were around
just
there.
after,
Maybe it was Twilight Masquerade that
maybe
had just
just
come out.
after. I can't remember.
Hmm. Anyway, it's somewhere around this. So it's been a while. There've been a lot of different sets. Which sets do you think maybe haven't done so well or might not do so well in the long run? And which sets do you think are probably destined to always be pretty strong sets if you were, because obviously there's a big Pokemon collector group that just collects
Hmm.
sealed product. So which sets do you think will hold their value long term, I guess, and which ones just don't look like they're going to be able to make it just maybe because of overproduction or maybe the set list is not
Right.
so good?
Yeah, so it's funny because to my mind, there's a lot of strong sets because everything's so hot at the moment.
Agree.
But on the flip side, like there's not really a lot of sets that I would say are weak. Obviously, the hottest set right now and will be for a long, long time is Prismatic Evolutions. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of factors that come into that. Mainly the the fact that the good cards are really hard to find. I mean, I think I've opened 50 or 60 packs of it, and I haven't got one good like SIR.
So
Yeah,
your
I mean,
videos.
I know you got
I
one.
saw your
That was
videos.
awesome. Or I think it was the Iron Valiant or something. Um, yeah,
That's right. That's right.
all of those cards are so valuable because they're so hard to find. Um, and yeah, so Prismatic Evolutions for one, I think is probably the set that's got the highest investment potential um, from Scarlet Violet era. Number two, very close. Number
Hmm.
two is 151, which is still
Hmm.
151 in the market. I actually found a couple of boxes just the other day um, on in farmers on the shelf. So it's still there,
Oh wow.
but you know the nostalgia factor for 151 and the opening experience of 151 will always be there. I mean, it is the kind of like it's a celebration of base set basically, and I think that's always going to have really really high potential. Um, Destined Rivals, the recent, the latest set is just an absolute banger. There's so many cool cards in that set, um, and uh, yeah, I think it's got really good potential long term. Um, what else? I think I've seen you opening some Shrouded Fable. Shrouded Fable's a real interesting one because
Hmm.
I made a prediction that because nobody wanted it, and nobody liked the cards in it. I got this yeah, this feeling that sets like that always end up being valuable because they don't get reprinted. So Shrouded Fable is a bit of a sleeper as well. um, it's seen as like a bad set, and yeah, it's not great compared to everything else, but the potential for I don't think it's going to get reprinted. So the potential for it there to be scarcity in the future is really high. So um,
Yeah, what do you think out of that set? Do you think are maybe some of the chase cards? So the one that I really like and that I'd like to get would be
yeah,
the Persian. I think
it's
it's
a
a really
cool
cool
looking
looking
card, and
card.
it's funny because that card had a massive spike in popularity. Obviously, when Distant Rivals came out, because it's a Persian, and you know Giovanni has his Persian, and everyone kind of speculated that
Hmm.
it was going to be like a really big card. And since that, it's dropped right off again. But I'm with you. I think it's a great looking card. I would love to have that card in my collection. There's also those really unique looking SIRs with I think it's Okie Dokie, Pheasantipity, and Monkey Dory, where
Mm,
it's kind of like
that's
real
right.
close up of them, but and really dark. Because if you remember, Shrouded Fable was like a Halloween set. Um, it was kind of around that
Hmm.
time, and those cards are very unique looking in respect to everything else that's coming out or will be coming out in the future. So I think a lot of people are kind of ignoring the fact that they're very unique looking cards, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. But I think it's like anything. It's like prime cards. I don't know if you know what prime cards are, but back in the day, nobody liked them because it was like a real close up of the Pokemon's face with like a gleam in their eye. Um,
All right.
and that nobody liked them, and they were ignored for a long, long time. And now they're really sought after. So yeah, but obviously, elephant in the room is the set that's coming out soon called Black and White, um, Black Bolt and White Flare.
Hmm.
So that set is basically it's the end of the Scarlet and Violet era, and the last set of each era is always a banger. Like Sword and Shield had Crown Zenith, which is I think Crown Zenith is like one of the best sets ever in terms of the cards that are in it, but also the opening experience. And there's a reason why I say that is that the pull rates. So it's almost like in every second or third pack, you're getting like a really, really good looking rare card. And obviously, with this black and white set that's coming out, they've got 170 illustration rares and special illustration rares. So they've got a
So can for our listeners, can you just compare that to what other sets might have? So how many illustration rares, for example, are in some like Prismatic, which is
mm,
supposedly a
well,
lot?
Prismatic actually doesn't have any illustration rares. It's only got SIRs, right? But yeah, a
The
regular
SIR,
set
sure.
probably has like 15 to 20, or not even that. And this is 170.
Okay.
So there's an illustration rare for every
Nice.
single black and white Pokemon. I mean, when they released that information, I said, there's no way that that's true." But now that I actually see, because obviously the Japanese black and white's already released, and I see that there literally
Hmm.
is an illustration rare for every single black and white Pokemon, I was like blown away. Um, and it's interesting that they decided to do that gen for this set, because everyone's well, like, black and white, like, why are they doing a black and white set? So the strategy of a Pokemon is that the kids that grew up with black and white are now entering their early 20s, so they're
Hmm.
obviously now entering their first jobs. They've probably got a bit of disposable income. And so the Pokemon company's like, okay, we'll make a black and white set and trying to leverage that. So um, Gen 5's kind of like for me, I really liked the games. Black and white games were probably one of my favorite games of the series. And it kind of has a bit of a cult following. So it'd be really interesting to see what the demand is for that. But more interestingly, will be the pull rates on these illustration rares. I mean, if there's 170 illustration rares, 170 illustration rares and special illustration rares, they're going to have like a Crown Zenith style pull rate where you're sort of getting one in every second or third pack. If it's less than that, if you're getting only a hit every like 5 to 10 packs, I think it's gonna really like hurt the set. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
It's also, I think, just a great way to finish out a set, but also when you were talking about how the market is kind of rising and then all of a sudden it's starting to
Mm.
flatten out a bit, to keep that
Yeah.
interest high, they're like, we'll just throw one more in that's going to make the market go
Yeah. And
crazy.
one thing
But
that's coming up soon, and it's just been announced, is the new kind of like, I don't want to call it an era because it probably won't be, because the new Pokemon game ZA is coming out, I think in about a year's time. So they're doing this kind of like little stopgap era, which is bringing back Mega Evolutions, which were obviously a fan
Okay.
favorite uh, game. What do you call it? Like evolution type in the XY era of games. Um, and what you'll find in every single era is that the base set of like an era doesn't really do that well initially, right? And
Hmm.
so Mega Evolutions are very, very popular, yes, but the base set for Mega Evolution, which is like ME1, I think they're calling it, I actually have a prediction that we'll see a decrease in demand, which is crazy to say in this market, but judging from what the Pokemon Company have said about supply, I think they're going to print the crap out of it, and I think everyone's going to be sitting on the fence as to whether they're going to sort of be into this new generation. And what my prediction is that I think that it's going to sit on shelves for a while. Yeah,
Interesting, man. So I think that all comes back around to the idea of market
yeah,
correction as
yeah,
well. So it's an interesting timeline for it too. Like you say, 6 months to 9 months of this boom period and what happens next. And I think you might be on the nose there, man, because like you said, it's easier to find product now than it was 3 or 4 months ago. Like, oh, this still available. Even in New Zealand, my dad gave me a call this morning. He's like, I just went to the warehouse and I've got some Pokemon cards there. You want to have a look at them? I'm like, oh, sure, let's have a look,
yeah,
see
yeah.
what you
What
got.
did he get?
So they're starting to pop up a bit. I got one of those boxes of what's that boys
Oh,
the
the hot
Zacian
hops,
box,
hop. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Hopsation, yeah, Hopsation, yeah, and that was like $40 or something
Yeah,
like that. So
actually, well,
picked up a box of
sorry,
that.
I'll just make a comment back to what we were talking about before in terms of what the hot sets and not hot sets. Journey Together. Now that's a
Hmm.
really interesting one because
That's the one.
Journey
That's the one.
Together
I literally have that
Journey
noted
Together
down.
came out when things were hot, 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 right? And everybody was just buying everything. Now, Journey Together as a set isn't actually that strong. It's got some cool cards, but in terms of everything else around it, it's probably the weaker of the sets. And I think that
Agreed.
they're gonna reprint a lot of it, and I think it's really gonna struggle to sell because of everything else that's available afterwards. So, yeah, if I had to
I
pick
agree.
one of the sets that's probably one of the weaker sets of recent times, it would be Journey Together. Everyone doesn't like,
I think it's easily
yeah,
the
everyone
weakest.
doesn't
Yeah,
like Stellar Crown, which is another set that came out just before Surging Sparks. But
I
yeah,
find
yeah,
that
yeah.
strange.
Another sleeper,
I
yeah,
like
another
Stella
sleeper
Crown.
set. I think that nobody wants it. If you buy some now, you'll see some really good gains in the future because everyone's overlooking it. Yeah.
Stella Crown is the one with the Eevee. Is
Oh
that the
no,
one with
that's
the Eevee
Twilight
in it?
Masquerade.
Twilight Masquerade. So Stella Crown must be the
Squirtle and Bulbasaur.
Squirtle too.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
right? Squirtle Bulbasaur one.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah, it
cool
is a
set.
cool set.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nobody wants it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow. Those are good. I guess good tips for those Pokemon collectors who want to try and get something now that they
yeah,
can hold, and it could be hold for. And generally, for example, so you've done this in the past too. You hold sealed product. I don't know if you ever sell it later on because
yeah.
like me, you probably become
I
too
hoard.
attached to it. But what kind? Yeah, awesome. So what kind of return on investment, I guess, can you get from potentially from older ones? Like, can you give me some examples of some ROIs that you've had from your
Well,
older sets? Just to put into perspective, I guess.
it's a bit embarrassing to sometimes say like the value of some of the things that I bought. I mean, my most probably one of my most valuable possessions at the moment is a booster box from Cosmic Eclipse. So Cosmic Eclipse, it's not even that old. I think it was 2019, right? Was when Cosmic Eclipse was in
Hmm.
print. Again, nobody wanted it. There was booster boxes available for ages. I mean, when I say nobody wanted it, that's probably a bit mean, but there was supply available for a long, 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 long time, and I think I probably opened something like 4 or 5 booster boxes because this was back in the day when I had a lot of money and disposable income, and got some really cool cards out of it. But I had the foresight to keep one sealed. Now I bought that booster box for $200, right? Back in the day. Actually, no, it was 250. Sorry, this was sort of when it was starting to become a little bit more scarce. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna grab one more. I should have got more. It's always the case. I should have got more. I had enough money to
Always,
buy
yeah,
more,
sure.
and I didn't. I was just like, you know what? I'll just keep one, just as my sealed collection. That booster box is now worth over $4,000, and that was only
Wow,
6 years
wow,
ago. So
that's
yeah,
crazy.
it boggles my mind that it's worth that much now because back then it just sat on shelves for ages. Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted to buy it. So yeah, a realistic, I think, in these times, because that was at that time no one was keeping stuff sealed.
And now a
Yeah,
lot more are, for
hell
sure. A
yeah.
lot more
Like
are. People
now
are doing that. That's an investment
everybody's got a
strategy.
box in their cupboard full of like stuff. Um, so I think a realistic ROI at the moment is if you can double your money in a short period of time, that's good enough, right? And but that
Hmm.
being said,
Hmm.
if you can keep it for longer, you're going to see way better gains when it comes to 5 to 10 years down the track. So you see that box, right? That box of Cosmic Eclipse, I almost sold it when it got to $1,000. I almost sold it because I thought to myself, I'm happy with that. I 5x my money. I can sell it and then I can buy more. Uh, and then I said, no, you know what? I'm just going to keep it for now. And then when it hit $2,000, which was actually not that long ago, it was last year at some point when it hit $2,000. I was like,
Wow.
you know, A, can I find a buyer who's going to pay $2,000 for this box? And B, like, what could I buy with that $2,000 to reinvest? And at the time, it was sort of like I could, but I didn't. And now it's doubled since then, which is crazy. In less than 12 months, it's then doubled again. And so, but I'm very aware that when the market correction comes, or at least when Pokemon becomes less hot, that prices will go down. And I think at the moment that $4,000 is a very overinflated price. But that being said, it's something that you don't see every day. Like you never see Cosmic Eclipse booster boxes on the group being sold, and so yeah,
That's
there's like a
interesting.
scarcity element to it as well. So that's just from the sealed side. From like a single Pokemon card. Um, yeah, I think with cards with good potential, you can probably get 3 to 4x your money in a short space of time, depending on what card it is. Um, But really,
Hmm.
when it comes down to what you want, I mean, like you said, I get too attached to my things. I hoard, and I don't sell much at all, which is really bad because what you should be doing is selling and then reinvesting, right? Um, and I have sold things in the past that begrudgingly, um, but sometimes when things get to a certain dollar point, uh, like I said, you've got to have a buyer. So, there's got to be someone that's willing to buy it for that price, and oftentimes it's hard to move stuff that's got a high price. Um, and B, you got to know what you're going to reinvest in. And at the moment, yeah, I there's not really a lot that I'd be reinvesting in at the moment, just because prices are so high.
I guess you could sell now, hold for a minute, and then wait till prices drop, and then reinvest again
Yep,
later. Maybe even rebuy that same card and have
and there's
money in the
something to
bank.
that is selling when things are high, right? And then buying when things are low. So buy the dip. That's the saying. And I think,
Hmm.
judging from what I think is going to happen, now would probably be a good time to sell some stuff. because I think that when
Yeah.
Mega Evolution 1 hits, booster boxes will come back down to 200 something dollars. So at the moment, booster boxes are like $300-400. I think when Mega Evolution 1 like actually releases, I think prices are going to go back down to under $300. And at that point,
Yeah. Wow.
the scalpers will move on. There'll be lots of supply, and yeah, the whole market will take a dip, I feel. But that's just my prediction.
And then yeah, and then like you said, those people who were in the market for the hype of it will
Yeah,
be getting out. And I've seen that
yeah,
happen with
yeah.
sports cards too. Like you see the big rise over COVID, and then 6 months, 9 months later, they've all disappeared and they're gone. And you're like, I wonder if we're going to be able to
Mm,
survive this. But you do. The card market continues, and card companies continue to produce and print really great
mm,
cards. And I think it makes you smarter as a collector because you kind of have survived that, so you kind of almost know the market trends, and it's fun
mm.
to be part of it too. You're like, wow, I got caught up in the hype
Yeah,
that time. I need to be careful next
and it is
time.
that
And
when
it's
once
it's
you've gone
it's
through a
it's funny
boom or
like that.
bust period, you learn a lot. Um, and just in my time with both being a collector and also as a store and as an online store, Booster Games, we've gone through a couple of boom and busts since we started, and we ended up with some pretty
Hmm.
heavy bags a couple of times, and we've learned a lot since then, and that's why, from experience, I know that as a store, we're going to be very cautious with Mega Evolution 1. And yeah,
That's great.
and like I'm not trying to like put information out there to say don't buy it, it's going to be crap. No, it's not going to be crap. It's just if you're looking at it from a pure investment standpoint, I'd be very cautious. I mean, I'm going to open some. It's not like I'm not going to open some. I'm going to buy some and I'm going to open it. I think that Mega
Sure.
Evolution cards are some of like the most unique and sought after cards in Pokemon TCG. Um, smart people, about 4 or 5 months ago, when Mega Evolutions were kind of confirmed as coming back, started buying the old Mega Evolution cards, because what you
Hmm.
see is that when Mega Evolution new cards come out, the old cards spike in price as well because everyone's nostalgic about it. So I decided not to go down that road because I mean, if I was just after money, that's what I'd do. But I don't actually like. I'm not really a big fan of the Mega Evolution cards, which people will probably chastise me for that because it's like people love those cards. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you wanted to to make some quick money, that's how you would have done it. You about 4 months ago, you would have bought out all of the Mega Evolution cards you could, and then when Mega Evolution 1 hits, and you would have see a spike in price and then sell them all. Yeah.
Interesting to see that those, I guess, those patterns and
Mm,
cycles repeat, because you're talking about mega evolutions and how they used
yeah.
to have a set. And they did the same with Destined
Mm,
Rivals, obviously the old Team Rocket cards and that kind of thing. And I think the Pokemon the Pokemon company is just on top of everything, man. They're a really well run company and they clearly think about
mm.
market trends, and they're not going to just survive out of this boom. They understand that sooner or later their prices are going to have to come down, but they'll be ready
Yeah.
for it and they'll figure things out as they move
They're
forward.
the sorry, excuse me. They are probably the company that I would trust the most with handling their market. I mean, Magic the
Hmm.
Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! And I mean, they've destroyed their markets by overprinting or reprinting um, old sets and whatnot. The Pokemon Company doesn't do that. They're too smart, um, and they know they would have learned a lot from the last boom and busts as to what they're going to do. Um, I think that they are very aware that there is a dip when it comes to like a base set. Um, they do. The problem is that usually base set of a new era comes with a lot of playables. So what they do is they print a crap load of it so that the actual people that play the game can use the cards. And I don't think that they're
Hmm.
like what I don't think they're too concerned about the market for their base set. I think usually a base set is made for players rather than collectors. But then from there, they go into more kind of like, okay, what can we put out there to really bring in the collectors? And what they've done is they've trademarked a couple of names for sets, which gives you an indication as to what's coming. One of them is Inferno X, and you can guess what that's going to be. Charizard. Yeah,
Oh, really?
Inferno
Inferno.
X.
Yeah, of
So
course. Yeah.
almost
Wow.
every single time the second or third set of a generation has a big Charizard card in it. And so they've trademarked Inferno X as a set name. So the second or third set of Mega Evolution is going to be a Mega Charizard set. And the Mega Charizard cards from back in XY are some of like the best looking cards. And I think that's really going to pop off. But also they've trademarked a name called Storm Emerald. So Emerald is denotes Rayquaza, and Mega Rayquaza
Oh, wow.
is also one of the most popular Mega cards. Actually,
Popular.
if I had to collect any Mega cards, I think it would be Mega Rayquaza. The the design of Mega Rayquaza is just phenomenal. And so what you're going to see is you're going to see a Charizard set and a Rayquaza set. So I mean, it's going to
Wow.
pop off absolutely. And there's also Mega Mewtwo. They'll do a set with Mega Mewtwo. It's yeah. What I think we're going to see is it's going to start off slow, like every era does. Like Scarlet and Violet base
Scarlet
it
and
was
Violet was slow
very
too,
slow.
yeah.
You
The
know,
base set was slow.
usually you have like the base set. The second set is usually centered around the what do you call it? The starters or like the starter Pokemon and their evolutions. That's usually how it goes. And then the third set is
Hmm.
usually a Charizard set. It follows the same thing every time. Um, it's
It's
the
the
same
formula, huh?
formula every time, and it's so funny that
It
yeah, and
works.
and not a lot of people understand that is like, especially when it comes to even the boom and busts, right, of the market. It happens all the time, you know. I mean, and if you can foresee it, if you can kind of work it to your advantage, there's no big secret to it. It's a trend that goes on and on and on. Yeah,
But like you say, that company is about as good at understanding their market as I've seen. It's much better than the sports
yeah,
card markets. What they do with the sports cards now, and it's just I don't know if I'm a fan of it or not, but the Top Sport company, the card
yeah.
brand
Top.
Tops, right? They have a they have a type of card called Tops Now. Have you heard of Tops
No.
Now cards before? Oh, you're in for a treat. So what they'll do is the Tops company will basically watch a big event. So for example, a couple of nights ago was the NBA
Mm,
draft. So they were drafting all of these young prospective players coming in, and there's this new kid. His name is Cooper Flag. He's going to be the next big thing. So he's the next star to kind of look out for. So there was Wembanyama, and now there's this kid called Cooper Flag. They released on the night that he was drafted a Tops
hmm
Now card. So you can buy a card called the Tops Now card, and it'll cost you, let's say, $13 for this card, and they'll send it to you. But in that set, there will be some serial
Right.
numbered cards. And there's a one of one
All
card of
right.
his that he signed, and they're expecting that one to go for a couple of hundred
Wow.
thousand dollars.
Even though it's just draft.
But people, it's a draft. It's him in his suit, and he's like, I think he's holding the number one up or something like this, and he
Yeah, yeah,
signed
yeah.
it, of course. So it's a single card. He signed it on card. The signature, by the way, looks
Oh, really?
horrendous because he's kind of because I've seen other versions of his signature, and he's done a really nice job of it. But this one, he wrote underneath number one pick, and he signed his name, so he's got an
Right.
inscription on there too. So they will print out a boatload of
Yeah.
these cards. I'm talking hundreds of thousands of them, getting paid $13
Yeah.
a pop,
Wow.
and they're just
Oh,
making
wow.
bank. So tops now is a thing that they do. So after the Olympics, for example, they got a 3-person card. They had 3 NBA star players: LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant, and they signed one card, but they printed out hundreds of thousands of copies of this card, and people bought them all up till it almost sold out, and no one knows where their autographed
Wow.
card is. It's just gone
And then
missing.
if Cooper Flag
But
doesn't make it,
those cards are
if
worth
he
nothing.
fizzles out in the NBA, then that card goes to zero. Well, not zero, but
And that's happened before. There was a case of Zion
Yeah.
Williamson. Like Zion was like
Yeah.
the big deal. His cards, his Prism rookies went to the moon, and then now you can buy a PSA 10 of his for maybe $50 if you're lucky.
Yeah,
or
I
even
remember
less.
what's that YouTube guy? He was banging on about Zion Williams. What's the guy that bought up all of the basketball cards? The investor guy. I forgot what his name is. Gary V.
Gary
Yeah,
V,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess,
I remember
maybe.
seeing a lot of videos with him with his Zion rookies, and he was selling them for like huge amounts of money. Yeah, and he made he would have made a lot of money out of that, and then all of us and all those people that bought those cards will just be regretting it now. Um,
Yeah, for
did we have a
sure.
restriction on the
So that
time of
happens, yeah.
this? Like it's over an hour now.
I'm not sure, mate. Yeah, it seems like it's going okay. I'll get a
Cool.
timer that tells us if
It
we're
did
going
pop
over.
up with
We're doing
something just
okay. We're
before.
doing okay.
Yeah, it popped
How
up
did
on my
it?
screen. It said call restriction something or other, but it went away real fast.
All right, so it must
Okay,
be on
cool.
the way soon. It must be on the way soon. But if it
Okay,
is,
cool.
then I'll let you know. In the meantime, I don't know if you noticed my
Hey, Team
T-shirt.
Rocket! Hey,
So I
that's
also have
awesome.
a couple
Oh,
of distant rivals packs that I thought
bro,
we'd open up.
awesome.
So I actually bought this for our
Yeah,
last
yeah.
card show, and I was hoping to have it, but it arrived late. Anyway, Moana and I are going to be wearing these at the Istanbul card show. So
Cool,
I'm going
man.
to open this one up
Oh, good luck.
and just show the pack in front of the camera. Thanks, man. We'll open up 2 packs
Cool.
and see how we do. Can't just
I
have the
always
one.
love watching people open packs.
All right.
It's always, I actually find it more exciting than opening packs myself.
All right. So here's your code card. Let me just flick it around.
Do you remember?
There we go.
I don't know if you were in
Onto the
the
front.
Pokemon card community at the time, but the code card used to tell you whether there was a hit in the pack or not. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
yeah.
You can tell
I'm
by the
so
color
glad
of it,
they got
right?
rid of that.
All right, here we go. So here we go. So basic metal energy. I'm reading that one backwards, so I don't even know who that is. Who's that, Keiran? Nice. All right, here we go.
Slugma,
That is Slugma.
Meditite, Wash Rotom,
I get so many Rotoms, dude.
Probopass. This is testing my knowledge because I can't actually see it.
We'll move a bit faster.
Some kind of gym.
Yeah. Some gym one. Yep, that's right.
Muck.
Muck.
Yeah.
I can read that one backwards.
We got a Gabite.
I think it's just I can see it's just a regular hollow, man.
And we got an Abomasnow, and last card is a Wobbuffet.
All right. There's
one.
one. Well, one dud, and hopefully the other one is going to be a good one. Anyway, there's some nice base ones for Moana and I to look through and hopefully sell to a Turkish person or just give away to a Turkish person at the next card show.
I end up just giving away bulk, to be honest. Yeah, to kids and stuff. I donated a whole bunch of bulk to the card show for the kids, just because
awesome.
I'm never going to use it. Might as well give it to the kids that want it. Yeah.
Perfect. 100%. All right.
Larvitar.
Lightning energy. I can't even see it. There you
go. Blipbug. Yeah, I think that's Blipbug. Sotodle. Yeah.
Sotodle, right? Yeah. Even I remember that one.
Purloin. Porygon Z.
I think it's a hollow at the back there. I saw a little move. Is a Houndoom or Houndour? Yeah. Energy recycler. I can read that one backwards. Oh no, I think it's an ace back. Oh no!
Mischief.
Ooh, no,
We
it's a
got
hollow.
something. Beldum. I think it might just be a regular hollow.
And
Oh,
it's just
Blaziken.
a regular hollow,
That
yeah.
that illustration there, I think, is awesome. If they had have made that like a full art card, far out.
Ah, yeah,
Yeah,
that is a cool one,
there
huh?
actually
Yeah,
is
I
a
agree.
there
I
is a
agree.
illustration
Yeah.
rare of Blaziken um in Destined Rivals, but I actually think that that looks better. Yeah,
Cool. Isn't that funny? Some of those, I agree. Some of the art on the just the base cards, you're like, man, that would
yeah,
work well as a full
absolutely.
art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh well, gutted we didn't get anything, but that's how it is.
It is what it is. Sometimes that's part of it, right? I think people need to understand that, like when you're opening up packs, you're not just hitting up monsters all the time. You often just get a
Yeah,
regular
yeah,
hollow.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I think what's going to be interesting to see for the wider card market with the impact of Pokemon cards is you'll know when the Pokemon market slows down pretty quickly because you'll find that PSA return times are going to get better. Because right now, PSA is just like,
Yeah.
it's gone back to almost COVID times. It's like,
Yeah, it's
wow.
not quite that bad, but
And
yeah,
it's
it's
because
getting
the
there.
Pokemon market, well, it's not quite that bad because I think they're ready for it now. They don't have to have a just the small number of people there. They can probably find a whole bunch of people to grade, but it's not easy right now for them. They're still way back on
Mm.
return times, but I feel like that's got to be slowing
Yeah,
down,
for
surely.
sure. Yeah. I actually have a bunch of cards over at PSA at the moment. It's actually my first PSA sub ever.
Did you sub all
No,
on your
I
own?
went through a middleman here in New Zealand. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, great. It's too easy to go through
Well,
them, right?
it's just a case of the hassle. Um, I'd much rather, because if it was me, I'd be like real nervous and it would be on my mind all the time and everything. If you can kind of offload that responsibility, it kind of, I know it sounds bad, but yeah, I kind of offload that responsibility
I'm
to
with you.
someone else. And yeah, I got some juicy cards in that sub. If they come back tens, man, I tell you, it's gonna be crazy. Because of course I've never
Awesome.
done a PSA sub before, so all my top cards have just been sitting on my binders behind me here. Um, I mean, I did a couple of cards through PCG, um, but
Hmm.
obviously, uh, you look at the market and people just want PSA cards. They don't want PCG cards, and so
That's right.
I decided, hey, I'm going to get
That's right.
some of my top cards. I've pre-graded them, basically looked at them and said, is this worth grading? I think that's really important. Um, People just send off top cards without even looking at the quality. Um, and yeah, I pre-graded my cards and I was like, this has a really good chance at a 10, and I sent them all away. I think there's about 12 cards in total. So, and a couple of those cards, if they come back, we're talking like 4 or 5 grand. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's gonna be an exciting
Wow.
return.
Then you might get
Oh well,
upcharged.
yeah.
You want the upcharge though. You want the upcharge. You want to take it. You want
Yeah,
to take the hit. It will
yeah,
suck, but
and that's the thing. I'm kind of prepared for that. I have some money aside if I do get upcharged, but for the sake of an extra $200
yes.
or something for a $4,000 card, it's a no-brainer. And that's one of the things that kind of put me
Hmm.
off PSA for a while was like I've got these cards that I know will be expensive, so I might get upcharged. Whereas the likes of PCG or Ace Grading over in the UK, they don't upcharge. It's just a flat fee. So, yeah, but
Hmm.
I mean, PSA know what they're doing. They know that the value attached to their brand is a lot higher, so they're like, you know what, we're going to charge extra. Yeah. Mm.
It's very true. Any other thoughts you want to share before we take off, buddy? I wonder if there are any other questions that we want to cover, but I feel
Yeah.
like we've kind of covered everything that I wanted to talk about. It's been a while since we chatted about the
Mm.
Pokemon card market, and I think it's important for us just to kind of take stock as to how it's been going. And I think it'll be interesting to see if the
Mm.
predictions you have for the Pokemon card future kind of
Yeah.
come true. We can have a look in a few
Yeah.
months' time, I guess, after this new set
And
comes
I
out.
guess that isn't
It'll be
it's
fun
just
to
a
see.
prediction. And for anyone that's listening, this is just my opinion. And obviously, I've formed that from experience in the market and being in it for a while, and being a store. Being a store really helps you understand, because if you're just a collector out there, and you might not necessarily see the nuance in you know products just sitting on shelves, whereas as a store, that's money that's tied up in my inventory that I can't move. And so I'm pretty in tune with what happens when there's downturns, or at least there's a lack of demand, and it hurts me financially. And that's why, from that experience, I can kind of understand and predict things. But again, just my opinion, that things are hot, hot, hot at the moment, but there potentially will be a lack of demand soon when Mega Evolution drops. But I get the feeling that Mega Evolution 1, you'll see obviously a drop. But like I said, there's things in the works like Inferno X and Storm Emerald that will just bring back a lot of people as well. So, yeah, um, my advice to people out there is just to be cautious with investments in Mega Evolution 1. Um, but obviously, doesn't stop you from buying it and opening it. You know, um, I'll be buying it and opening it. But as a store, obviously, we won't be going as hard as with Black and White. We basically said to the distributor, "Can we have as much as we can?" Because and funnily enough, it all sold out in a couple of hours. And we got a really good allocation for that too, and it all sold out. But I know that
Wow.
if I said, "Hey, give me all the Mega Evolution that you can give us," I get the feeling like we'd get a huge allocation and it would just sit on the store for ages. So that's just my prediction. Yeah,
No, it's good to be clear about that. And at the same time, I think the other piece of advice, the small piece of advice I would give is just make sure you do your
yeah,
research
yeah,
first. Like you can listen to people yourself, but I think once you've heard a few voices, then it's time for you to go ahead and do your research on what you want to be getting and
for
buying. That
sure. And
makes
there will be a
sense.
hype train. Don't get me wrong. There will be hype train. And but I,
Hmm.
I feel like once the dust is settled, you'll see prices drop. Um, and I might be completely wrong. I mean, I might be underestimating how hot the market is at the moment, and the new collectors that have come in will be really hot on the set, and it might do really really well. Um, but for me, obviously, I've been in a couple of situations where we've just ended up with absolutely dead stock on our store, and I don't want to go down that road again. Yeah.
Fair enough, man.
One
Totally
question I was
fair.
going to ask,
All right,
sorry,
buddy.
just before we leave,
Yeah, go
one
go.
question I was going to ask you is, obviously you're quite new to Pokemon collecting, and it's great to see you and Moana really enjoying it. I was just wondering, what are you
Hmm.
buying at the moment?
So I really like the Distant Rivals set. I like the nostalgia of throwback to Team Rocket. I also love the Prismatic set. One is a massive Evolution fan, so Prismatic is harder to buy because of just a really rough hit
Yeah,
rate. So we've bought some more. We've bought some more Terrestrial Festival actually because it's just so much fun
me
to
too.
open. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a
I
great
finally
set,
managed
man.
to get
So it's a
some.
lot of fun
I
to open
bought.
those.
It sounds bad, but I bought a lot. Yeah,
Why not, man? And I guess those might sell well down the line too because it's again it's kind of the enjoyment of it. You'll have Prismatic, which is
yeah,
just brutal, and then you can go across the Terrestrial and get the same cards just
yeah.
in Japanese, but they're a lot of fun to open, and you're basically guaranteed at
Yeah,
least an
and to
SIR
be
card, right?
honest, that's the first set where it was guaranteed to get an SIR. And I think
Yeah,
that's going to
wow.
be a really strong selling point in the future. I mean, people said, oh, because it's guaranteed, it's going
Hmm.
to hurt the value of the box because, um, the reason why boxes are so expensive is because the cards are really rare in them. But there's 30, I can't remember, there's like 35 SIRs in the set. And to hit an evolution, it's still hard. It's still hard to hit an
Hmm.
evolution in Terrestrial Festival. So yeah, I get the feeling that it's going to be a really solid investment for the future for sure. Yeah,
Yeah, cool. So we've got a couple of
nice.
boxes of that. Um, I think I think we also like 151. I think those are our three sets. If we were to put that, those would be our
Yeah,
favorite three. Would be Destined Rivals, Prismatic,
yeah.
and 151. But I quite like. I still like
Mm,
Surging Sparks. I still like a couple of the cards in that set, but that one seems to have lost a lot of popularity lately too. I don't know what's going to
yeah,
happen next with that. And then you talked about other sets that have kind of lost their, I guess they're following like Stellar Crown
journey
and
together.
was the other Journey Together. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
buying Journey Together. It's not that we didn't enjoy that one very much, but yeah, I guess that's what we're looking
yeah.
at. Black and white. I'll see if we can even get our hands on
Fair
some,
enough.
but we'd like
Yeah,
to. Yeah,
I'm probably going to open quite a bit of black and white. They've got those really cool monochromatic
yeah, makes
cards,
sense.
the the white Reshiram and the black Zekrom. I mean, I imagine they're going to be so hard to find, but man, if you can find one, those cards. So black and white base set when it came out, those two cards there was a full art Reshiram and a full art Zekrom that were almost identical to these cards, but without texture. So yeah, it's kind of like a throwback to the black and white base set. And I mean, from what I've heard is that the cards when you see them in person, they are absolutely phenomenal. And if you can get one of those cards, I think they've got huge potential as an investment, or at least to keep and grade. So I'm gonna probably open a couple of ETBs just looking for one of those cards. Yeah,
Awesome, awesome,
cool.
cool, man. Well, thanks so much for your time. I know it was really early in the morning for you to get up and do this, so I do
Yeah,
appreciate
mate.
it a lot.
Nah,
But it's been a lot of
I'll
fun.
get up to talk about Pokemon cards at any time. I don't care how early it is or how late it is, man.
Perfect.
I'm always down. So no, I appreciate you having me on the channel again. And no, I really enjoy our discussions. And yeah, look forward to
Agreed.
doing it
Agreed.
again, maybe in another 4 to 6 months. Yeah,
That's right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's lock it in for after that set comes out. Give it a
yeah,
couple of weeks,
yeah.
and then we can
Let's
organize a
see how
time. It
wrong
sounds
I
good.
was about Mega Evolution. Yeah,
All right,
cool.
bud.
Cheers,
We'll
mate.
talk soon.